our town kind of rallied around the story, and everybody was just really supportive of it. So our first homecoming, we flew home, got into the airport, and they just had the streets lined with people. I mean, almost like to our house on both sides of the street. And everybody had flags, everybody was cheering, and it was a pretty impactful experience.
Taylor Morris grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa. After high school, he decided to join the Navy.
He was very hands-on. He liked to take apart things, put them back together. He loved adventure, and I think that's why he ended up being a Navy EOD tech.
EOD's job is to mitigate any explosive hazards that the force encounters along the way to and from the target. It's hard to see why somebody would choose that as a career path. It's extremely high risk, and definitely it takes a special type of person to do that.
In late 2011, as Taylor prepared to deploy to Afghanistan, Danielle, his high school sweetheart and future wife, was concerned with more than just the physical harm that might befall him.
I wanted him to come back who he was. At this point, I had been with him for 7 or 8 years, and I fell in love with the person he is. And he said, that's never gonna happen, I'll be fine, I'll come back who I am through and through.
Taylor deployed to Afghanistan to work alongside an Army Special Forces unit. He joined them on reconnaissance patrols to ensure they wouldn't fall victim to the various explosive hazards they'd regularly encounter. On May 3rd, 2012, 5 months into his deployment, Taylor's life would change forever.
As I was clearing a path, we kind of encountered this new device that our detectors weren't really set up for yet. I stepped on it and it exploded. It was a pretty hard hit. I mean, it took both legs above the knee, my left arm above the elbow, and then my right arm right above the wrist.
Within 3 days of Taylor's accident in Afghanistan, he arrived back in the United States at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, where Danielle reunited with him for the first time since his deployment.
I wasn't sure how she was going to react to it, and so I was a little bit nervous. I said, hey, I know this isn't exactly what you signed up for, and you can join me or you don't have to.
I could tell from the first time I saw him in the hospital that just looking at his eyes that he was Taylor, he was who I fell in love with, and I told him, we have this, we got this.
As Taylor recovered, he came to grips with the realities of his injuries.
There's a lot of parts of your identity that were attached to these certain ways that you move, you know, your mannerisms. So it was like you were building your body physically from the ground up, and also you were rebuilding a little bit of your mind too, a lot of your mind. You go from being one of the most, you know, independent people out in the world. I mean, we're living out in the desert of Afghanistan, and going from that to where you're completely dependent on somebody else, you know, to feed you and help you shave your face and all that. That took its toll. There was a lot of things that you took for granted before, you know, that were so easy to do that you didn't even think about them. Little things like opening the fridge or opening the oven.
It's just that extra stress or challenge that you don't want every day.
I knew the Gary Sinise Foundation could help provide Taylor and Danielle with a home that would meet their needs and restore some of Taylor's independence. In 2013, it was a great pleasure for me to bring my band, the Lieutenant Dan Band, to Cedar Falls to play a fundraising concert in support of Taylor and Danielle.
We were still kind of wrapping our head around what this new normal for life was going to be, and then someone walks in your room and says, we want to build you a home. Jaw-dropping, to say the least.
With the proud support of community donations and our many wonderful sponsors, the Gary Sinise Foundation began construction on Taylor's specially adapted custom smart home in his hometown of Cedar Falls, Iowa. On April 5th, 2018, the home was completed and Taylor and Danielle moved in.
Presenting Taylor and Danielle, the iPad that controls their house.
Coming through the front doors for the first time was just absolutely mind-blowing.
Every detail has been executed perfectly. It feels like home.
Having just the wider doorways and the wider hallways and everything that's accessible, the zero entry, the smart home technology that ties all these different processes of the house. Every little thing that I can do from the iPad or from a switch on the wall is like one more task that's taken off of Danielle's shoulders. So that's really important to me. That's really important to our families, you know, that I can gain back as much of that independence as possible.
Building a house it's a labor of love, and we have created a family bond with the R.I.S.E team throughout the home building process. Going through something like this really is a humbling experience and has shown us that there are times when you do need help, and it's okay to receive help.
You give up a lot, you sacrifice a lot while you're over there. So to come back and see that people appreciate your sacrifice, and they appreciate the things that you've done, it's a really powerful thing.
Today, Taylor and Danielle continue to live life to the fullest, traveling, pursuing their own career goals, and looking forward to starting a family of their own. At the Gary Sinise Foundation, we serve our nation by honoring our defenders, first responders, their families, and those in need. To learn more about the Gary Sinise Foundation and how you can support other veterans like Taylor Morris, visit GarySiniseFoundation.org.